So you guys are wondering about the Thrustmaster versus the Moza, TX versus the R9, maybe curious about the R5 or the TMX. We're going to have a little bit of info for all of those wheels in this video. Hopefully by the end of it, you'll be able to know whether the Moza or the Thrustmaster makes most sense for you. Enjoy. Just to be clear about a few things right off the bat, we started off on a Thrustmaster TMX, used that for about 2 years, then upgraded to a Thrustmaster TX, which we used for about a year until we reached out to Moza and they sent over this R9 wheelbase and the supporting accessories, and we've been using those for about 2 months now. Although they sent me this wheel for free, I never agreed to lying or saying anything about the wheel that I truly didn't believe, so this will still be a honest comparison of the Thrustmaster TX versus the R9. That's enough bullcrap. Let's get into it. So after experiencing a handful of different issues with the Thrustmaster, mainly regarding the connectivity, I had to reach out to Moza and a handful of other wheel companies to see if they would want to work with Dan's gaming van, and luckily Moza was happy to send over this R9. So I got these packages about 2 months ago. I was very ecstatic. We set them up and we got to comparing. We've been playing it almost every day for 2 months, so I think I have a pretty fair outlook on what to say about this wheel. I've put in a lot of seat time with it, and we're going to start off with the most basic and the most concerning thing for the majority of the people watching this video, and that is price point. Value versus price. So a lot of this video is going to be apples to oranges. Like I mentioned earlier, the Moza is a direct drive wheelbase while the Thrustmaster is belt driven. The Moza braking is load cell while the Thrustmaster braking is spring based. There's a lot of things that are not easy to compare, and the same thing applies when it comes to pricing. There are a lot of different options through Thrustmaster to be able to get a Thrustmaster TX. You can buy the cheap Thrustmaster TX Ferrari set, and that comes with a cheap set of pedals, and that comes with the cheapest wheel that they offer that feels like a literal child's toy attached to the base. Or you could order a Thrustmaster TX base by itself, a proper Ferrari Sparco racing wheel, and that wheel will be the same size as the Moza wheel. So we're going to be comparing a few different things on price points to try to make it as even to the Moza as possible, because it really isn't even fair comparing the Ferrari wheel to the Moza wheel, and to compare the cheap T3PA Thrustmaster pedals to the Moza pedals, it's not even a close comparison. The TX belt-driven wheelbase comes in at about $375 all by itself. If you add on the load cell pedals, the proper Thrustmaster pedals, that will be the best comparison to the Moza pedals. Those are $230 by themselves. Then add on the Thrustmaster Sparco wheel, which is 13 inches, and it is a pretty good quality wheel in comparison to the Moza. It's the same size as the Moza, and quality looks pretty on par. That wheel alone is $257, so that brings you out to a total of $862 before tax and shipping for your Thrustmaster belt-driven setup. Now to lay out pricing for Moza, the R9 wheelbase is $440, the CS steering wheel is $279, and the Moza SRP load cell brake pedal set with clutch is $219. That brings the total out to $938 pre-tax and shipping for your entire Moza set. Extra $76 will get you a direct drive base over top of a belt-driven base. That means you will get 5.1 more Newton meters. The Thrustmaster TX comes in at 3.9 Newton meters, while the R9 is 9 Newton meters. So that's twice as much power, over twice as much power for $76. I also want to throw in this info. Moza just released their R5 bundle. It is only $599 for a 5.5 Newton meter wheelbase. That comes with the pedals and a wheel. So that is cheaper than the Thrustmaster TX, and it is still a good chunk more powerful than the TX. Maybe drop a comment if you guys want to see a TX versus a R5 or a TMX versus an R5 video. If we get enough comments on the video, maybe Moza will send one out to do some testing with. So let's just take a moment to talk overall quality. It seems that a very large amount of the Thrustmaster product is made of plastic. From the outer casing of the base to the inside components to even the steering wheel itself, there's an overwhelming amount of plastic on this product. Even the main attachment point for the wheel to the base is made completely of plastic. This is something that always worried me, that it could potentially get snapped off and be a major issue. On the flip side, the Moza features hardly any plastic at all. The wheelbase housing is made completely of aviation grade aluminum. It's compact, it's clean, it's professional looking. The quick release system is something similar to what you would find in a race car, all metal using real metal ball bearings. It's incredible the difference of just touch and look of the quality between these two products. When it comes to the steering wheels, the wheel from Moza is made of, once again, aviation grade aluminum. It's sporting magnetic forged carbon fiber shifters, an RGB RPM indicator. It is a 13-inch wheel to give maximum realism, very similar to a size of a wheel that you'd find in a race car. The leather Thrustmaster wheel is 11 inches. Moving on to the pedal comparison, it's not going to be easy, just like comparing the Moza wheelbase as a direct-driven wheelbase to the Thrustmaster TX, which is a belt-driven wheelbase. It's just not exactly an easy comparison. We're going to be comparing load cell brakes to non-load cell brake pedals, so it's a little bit difficult, but we're going to do our best here. The pedals that I use are T3PA Pro pedals. You actually can't really find these anymore. They don't sell them brand new, but I have used the normal T3PA pedals that Thrustmaster offers with the TX. I had dailied those for like 2 years, and I can say that those pedals are a hot pile of garbage. They feel completely plasticky, same thing as the TX base and the wheel that comes on it. There's an overwhelming amount of plastic at use. The braking feels extremely unresponsive. It feels extremely light. And then the gas and the clutch also just have a very cartoony, arcadey feel to them. Not much realism at play there at all. In comparison of the Moza SRP pedals, they're made completely of metal. They're strong. The brakes are extremely difficult to push. For me to lock up the brakes, it feels like I am standing on the brakes of a real vehicle. To lock up the brakes, you have to put an incredible amount of force into it. Meanwhile, the Thrustmaster pedals is more like pushing a button with your foot. Next, we're going to be talking about something that is a huge difference between these two products, and that is software and tunability. The Moza Pit House is an incredible application. From being able to change your force feedback on the fly mid-game to changing your overall steering limit and angle from a 360 degree wheel all the way up to a 2000 degree wheel, if I'm not mistaken. It is incredible the tunability that you have on the Moza versus the Thrustmaster. There are so many settings on the Moza that I guarantee you will not go through them all, from road sensitivity to mechanical dampening to maximum speed of steering wheel. That goes on and on. If you're not too savvy with stuff like that like me, luckily they offer a very easy preset settings, things where you can just click on the preset racing modes, from drift to Formula 1 to GT to karting to performance to rally. Just click on what kind of racing you're into and it will set you up to how they think will be best for you. And if you want to do some fine tuning from there, you have all the power to. You even have controllability over your LEDs on your steering wheel, so what colors your RPMs will change at and what colors your LEDs will change to. And when it comes to your pedals, you can adjust the curvature that the input is received, from your clutch to your brake to your throttle. It can be a straight line input. You can have curvature within. It is incredible to be able to tune these things. Moving on to the last part of the video, which is going to be gameplay comparison. I had originally recorded my first time playing on the Moza wheel, and I did some benchmark tests with the Thrustmaster before switching over to the Moza so that I have a direct gameplay comparison. That footage has been lost or corrupted or something. Now I would just refilm this footage and be able to have some direct videos to compare, but I cannot get my Thrustmaster to work for anything. I've already fixed this connectivity issue once by resoldering the wires, and I can't get it to work again. It only works for about 1 second when it wants to, so we're just going to have to talk about the comparisons while watching some Moza gameplay. So it's hard to describe how something feels, but it's easier to compare. So in comparison to the TX, it feels well over twice as powerful. The strength of the wheel and the vibration of the wheel are on a whole different level, which you can expect being that this wheel produces over twice as much torque on the numbers, but something I didn't expect was small amounts of feedback and vibrations that are so much more noticeable. From feeling cracks and bumps in the road on Shituko to the curvature of tracks and vibrations coming off of the corner strips on a racetrack. The small inputs go an insanely long ways for immersion and realism. Certain maps like High Force on Assetto Corsa have potholes big enough to make you crash from hitting them. And if you aren't ready for a pothole or a crash coming up, the wheel's powerful enough to tweak your wrist. I've done a little bit of all types of driving with the Moza, from SRP to drifting to a little bit of track time and some casual play and rally driving on BeamNG, even some chill cruises on Forza Horizon 5, and the wheel is incredibly smooth, it's responsive. The high wheel speed is so helpful and predictable for drifting. I really couldn't be happier with the overall product. The Moza wheel has exceeded my expectations 100 times fold. If you guys have any questions or concerns, ask them in the comments. If you did make it to this point in the video, drop a comment that either says Moza or Thrustmaster, whatever one you would be more apt to get, to let me know that you guys made it this far in the video. And if you're not subscribed already, do it. It's free. You'll be provided with more sim racing hardware videos, and it helps me out a lot with growing the channel. And also, along on that same thing, drop a like if you haven't. If you've liked the video, it's extremely helpful for algorithm, and it's a good motivation booster as well. Check us out on Twitch, Insta, TikTok to find live streams and more up-to-date posts of using the Moza wheel. And that's about all I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, hit me up, and thanks for watching. And that's it. MTV, get out my crib.